So Biden is vowing to stay in the race despite all of the pressure coming from Democrats for him to step aside and let somebody younger and more mentally fit step into his place. This is the story. This is from AP News. Biden vows to keep running as signs point to rapidly eroding support for him on Capitol Hill. Also, signs are pointing towards rapidly eroding mental capacity. And a lot of people, a lot of experts out there are saying that they think he has Lewy body dementia, which means it's a, there's various different types of dementia, and this one would just show up really rapidly. That's what they're saying. Um, Although I don't know, he's been showing these signs for quite some time. But anyway, he's saying recently came out saying, let me say this as clearly as I possibly can, as simply and straightforward as I can. I am running. No one's pushing me out. Biden said on a call with staffers from his reelection campaign. Him and Harris got together. They got the campaign together. They got on a phone call, and this is what he said. He says, I'm not leaving. I'm in this race to the end, and we're going to win, he says. Although the polls are saying otherwise. I mean, the polls are showing that Donald Trump is actually gaining after that last debate. And if Joe Biden stays in the race, just imagine there's going to be another debate. And then there's going to be a debate after that. Or maybe not. Maybe they just will cancel all the debates. I mean, that would be their only option going forward, is to just tell everybody in America, no, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine, and cancel all future debates, which would be totally unprecedented. They can't possibly think they're going to do this. So here he is, though, saying, I'm not leaving. We're going to win. Here are some of the reactions from some Democrats. Representative Raul Guijarva from Arizona told the New York Times that while he backs Biden as long as he's a candidate, this is an opportunity to look elsewhere. And what Biden needs to do is shoulder the responsibility for keeping that seat. And part of that responsibility is to get out of the race. Representative Jim Clyburn, so he has been a longtime friend of Biden's. He's been supportive of him, but he said he would back a mini primary in the run up to the Democratic National Convention next month if Biden were to leave the race. That's interesting. So a little mini primary, how would they even possibly pull that off? Who would be voting in that mini primary? Because they already went, and did the primaries, and they made sure that nobody was really on the ballot, and they didn't take anybody seriously who was actually challenging Joe Biden. So now they're suddenly they're going to have a mini primary to the run in the run up to the national the DNC, which is in a month. He said that he floated the idea of laying the groundwork for alternatives by delegates during the Democrats' planned virtual roll call that is scheduled before the more formal party convention, which is set to begin in Chicago on August 19th. Sorry, you guys, I'm just stuttering around. I'm having a Biden moment. On CNN, Clyburn said that Vice President Kamala Harris, governors, and others could join the competition. It would be fair to everybody, because if she were to be the nominee, we need to have a running mate and need a strong running mate. So this is how out of touch Democrats are. They're talking about Kamala Harris as if she's the shoo-in for the nomination, because they don't have anybody. I mean, they really don't have anybody. Kamala Harris is so deeply unpopular. They've tried to push her on us. They've tried to make her popular. They have not been able to do so, and yet they're still going to shove her in there to potentially run against Donald Trump. You know why? Because they like the way she debates. She's good at debating because she kind of, jabs and says things, and she's going to take him down in the debates and call him out for all of the crimes that he's being convicted for and all the upcoming trials. So they want to see her prosecute Donald Trump on the debate stage, and they think that's going to actually work for the American people just more of the same from Democrats, basically. It says most Democratic lawmakers are taking a wait and see approach with Biden, but there's also a sense that the waiting period will soon expire if Biden does not step up his outreach to Capitol Hill to prove otherwise, that he's up for the job. Some suggested Harris was emerging as the favorite to replace Biden if he were to withdraw, although those involved in private discussions acknowledged that Governors Gavin Newsom of California and Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan remain viable alternatives. But for some insiders, Harris is viewed as the best prospect to quickly unify the party and avoid a messy and divisive convention fight, because she's a woman of color. That is the only reason why they would think that she's any. Look, Newsom and Whitmer and Harris, none of them are actually popular, but Harris is the least popular. The only thing that she has over the other two is she's not white, and she's a woman. She's got that over Newsom. So, I mean, what would they do? So they would run a Harris-Whitmer ticket. I mean, they're not going to run a Harris Newsom ticket. They can't. They're both from California. You can't do that. You have to pick either Newsom or Harris. That's it. So it'd be Harris and Whitmer. Are you guys ready for that ticket? Gretchen Whitmer was the wicked Cruella de Vil in Michigan who had the strictest lockdowns in the country, extremely authoritarian. Just as we beat Donald Trump in 2020, we're going to beat him again in 2024, said Biden. I should say it more like, just as we beat, what's his name? Donald Trump. And what year was it? 2020. We're going to beat him again in 1924. It's probably more accurate, right? He told participants he would not be dragged out of the race. We will not back down. We will follow our president's lead. We will fight and we will win, said Harris. I cannot lay out something that would change the president's mind, said Jean-Pierre about Biden continuing to seek a second term. She added that he is clear-eyed and he's staying in the race. Now, what's interesting is Trump's campaign. They're saying, yeah, keep him in the race. You guys are all a bunch of traitors. You all supported Biden. I mean, that's basically the essence of what's coming out of the Trump campaign is they're sort of defending Biden. And a lot of Republicans are flabbergasted. They don't understand. I don't know how you don't understand. It's so easy to understand. He wants him to stay in the race because he's easily defeatable. This is the guy. You don't want some unknown swooping in and suddenly America's intrigued by this unknown entity who hasn't had a time to really truly run, to have all of their dark secrets uncovered and all the hit pieces and all of the other, all the things that they do during a political campaign. This other person who gets to sweep in gets to avoid all of that. They would have to suddenly try to cram into just a couple of months all of the, digging up everything on that person to see if they'd be able to run the country, what their record is on a variety of different things, all the things that they'd have to uncover about their personal life, all of the seedy and, terrible things that they've done, all of that stuff. It would be such a short window that they wouldn't be able to do that to whoever that is. And so it is advantageous for Trump, for Biden to stay in office or to stay in the race, because Trump then can point out his mental incapacities. They would, and they can, and his record, the Biden crime family, Ukraine, Hunter Biden, all of these things. You can't do that to some unknown. So that's why Trump is backing Biden and the Trump campaign. They desperately want him to stay in the race. And if I were Trump or if I were RFK Jr., I'd want him to stay in the race 100%. But Biden says, I'm not backing down. I'm staying in the race. I'm running. No one's pushing me out. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm in this race to the end and we're going to win. Oh, wow. I'm really interested. Look, maybe, and then maybe he wins. I mean, it would be hard to imagine, but it was hard to imagine Trump winning in 2016. It was hard to imagine Trump losing in 2020. So if Biden wins, because it's another unimaginable that happens once again to us, then he's going to step aside. Kamala's going to end up being president. Oh my gosh. All right, let's play this clip. This is Rachel Maddow. So everybody's turning on Biden, even Maddow. She's like the most prominent, I think, Democratic voice, right, out there. And even she's saying, look, if you're going to replace the guy, let's do it, and let's do it now. Watch this.
I will say, in fairness, if the Democrats are going to change their nominee, they should maybe get on it. Right? Don't take advice from me on this, but it seems like common sense that, just waiting a while is the worst possible solution. If Vice President Kamala Harris or anyone else is going to take over the top of the ticket instead of President Biden, that candidate will need enough time to actually run a campaign, and it's July. So I don't know if the Democrats are going to replace Joe Biden at the top of the ticket or if they should. The only person who can make this decision is the nominee himself, President Biden himself. But I do know that the window to make this decision is right now, and it's about this wide. Right? Speak now or hold your peace, Democrats, if you actually want a chance of competing here. Because meanwhile, the Republicans are delighted to be running their felon, the guy who really did sick the rioting mob on Congress. They're really running him while he is awaiting sentencing himself for a whole separate set of dozens of unrelated felony charges. The case in which those 34 felony convictions against him were obtained is a case that took years to get into court, in part because while Trump was president, his Justice Department ordered federal prosecutors to stop their investigation of Trump in conjunction with that case. We know that from the former U.S. attorney in that federal district who wrote about it in his book. I will say,
oh, there you go. So Rachel Maddow, there you go, saying we gotta if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it now because someone's got to run, and they got to run against this crook. I mean, what of course. But very interesting. We'll see if they pressure Biden. If they can't pressure him to drop out of the race, they're just going to have to 25th Amendment the guy. That is not going to be good for Biden or for his family or for Democrats or for, I mean, it's just, he really should step aside. So we'll see. We'll see how it happens, but I'm not leaving. I am not leaving. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen show. That's right, this is just a clip. If you want the full show, you can go to KimIversonShow.com and you can watch Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for about 1 hour. It's totally free. Check it out, KimIversonShow.com. Thanks for watching.